When we spoke last month on our Rabbi Sacks Book Prize podcast, you mentioned that the two discussions you would want to adjust or add to in your book were the discussions on democracy and the Palestinians. And in your discussion on democracy, you describe Israel as being an ethnic democracy, distinct from the democracy that we're more familiar with in the US. The ethnic democracy sees the state of Israel, the purpose of the state is for the flourishing of the Jewish nation. It's not ethnically blind. So how has your conception of democracy changed?
Well, that's an excellent question. I don't think my conception of democracy has changed. I think that what we talked about in that podcast and what I talk about in the book is that Israel's made a bunch of mistakes over the course of the years, and American Jewish leaders of the Zionist world have also made their mistakes. And one of the mistakes that we made was trying to tell everybody that we in Israel were basically kind of a Hebrew-speaking, falafel-eating version of the United States, just smaller and in a very bad neighborhood. And that's actually completely wrong. We are not a Hebrew-speaking, falafel-eating version of the United States, because the United States is, theoretically at least, ethnic and religious and race blind. If in 50 years, and demographers say this is what's going to be the case, if in 50 years the majority of Americans are Hispanic, which is what the numbers are predicted to be, and Congress is mostly Hispanic, and let's say the president therefore is Hispanic, is that a failure or a success of American democracy? It's a complete success of American democracy, as long as those women and men are devoted to the vision of the founders and how that vision has developed over the course of the centuries. But if in 50 years Israel is mostly, let's say, Arab, and the Knesset is mostly Arab, and the prime minister is an Arab, is that a failure or a success of Israeli democracy? Here I think it's more complicated. It's a success of the mechanics of Israeli democracy, but Israeli democracy wasn't created for mechanics. It was created because it had a vision for a certain people. And that's why this has always been a very, very delicate dance that we've had to dance, to grant equal civic and legal rights to people no matter what their backgrounds, what their religions, what their heritage, where they come from, and yet to say without any hesitation whatsoever, this is a state that was created for the flourishing of the Jewish people. I mean, I think when Rabbi Berman spoke before about all the various chancellors of these systems and the president of Yeshiva University, part of what attracts them beyond his own wisdom is the ability of a group of people to say, this is about us. We actually think we have something to say, and we think we have a reason to be. And that's something that the vast majority of people in the Western liberal world actually no longer have the capacity to articulate. And what he's articulating as the president of an extraordinary university is what I think Israeli Jews are trying to say at the helm of an extraordinary country. We are not a smaller version of America that just speaks Hebrew. We're a different project. We are not ethnic blind.